All right, now to something we're calling the Biden being Biden principle, or why similar taboos seem to prompt different reactions. Now, how do you come up with that name? Well, this is how. You may recall Joe Biden recently getting all handsy with the wife of Ashton Carter at the swearing in of the new defense secretary. And it seems that Biden pays no price here for incidents like that, either political or even when it comes to social media, or for that matter, anywhere else. Now, even though there's countless examples of Biden being Biden or being more than a little handsy here, again, there's no price here he pays. But compare that to what former President George W. Bush got after he had one handsy incident, though this one with German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Now, if you're looking for a non-political comparison, let me introduce you to John Travolta. If you watch the Oscars, you saw the ickiness here, getting crushed in social media for, again, putting pause on the Oscars with Scarlett Johansson, Idina Menzel, and also for his creepy stare at the back of Benedict Cumberbatch's head here, by the way. Now, you can also apply the Biden principle to political sex scandals. Bill Clinton, infidelity, sure, it was embarrassing and everything for him, but you know, yeah, it might have been impeached, but at the end of the day, he came out on the right side of it. Say the same thing about Spitzer? No. Say the same thing about Mark Sanford? Again, no. This thing ended these guys. I can probably add John Ensign, the former Nevada senator for that matter, and others to the list as well. And if you're a baseball fan here, a Yankee fan like myself, Andy Pettitte, he admitted to using PEDs. He's going to have his number retired and a plaque out in Monument Park, while Roger Clemens, the only way he's getting into the stadium if he buys a ticket, and even then, I don't think he'd be allowed. All right. Why is it that some guys can do the same thing as somebody else, and it's like, that's Biden being Biden. Somebody else does it, and they get the third degree?
I mean, frankly, you put a lot of different cases in one hopper there, in a lot of varying degrees of quote-unquote inappropriate behavior. We're living in a society where everybody's got a GoPro on their head. You know, I don't know how many of us want to be televised 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and to some extent the punishment is directly driven by the reaction of the person offended.
But are there rules that you'll tell to a client, Scott, that says, listen, the best hit is the first hit, or get out in front of it? Are there basic things that you've seen from how other elected officials, public figures, sports figures, whatever, that mitigate the downside?
Well, as I just said, there's no better mitigation than I wasn't offended. There was nothing wrong with what he did. That's the best.
It comes down to, Richard, there's no other way to say it. If you're well-liked, you get a pass on a lot of things. If you're not liked, you're done. It's that simple.
But you know what? Republicans don't love Joe Biden. They didn't make as big a cause celeb about this.
But Biden's different. And with all respect to the Vice President of the United States of America, Biden is considered a fool. Crazy Joe.
Remember what he said about Obama? He was a clean one?
Wait, you think I would ever forget what he said about Obama? Yeah. He's a clean one. He's articulate.
That's what he said.
And he gets the vice presidential thing. Do you think I forgot what he did, the alleged plagiarism up at Syracuse University? Went to my daughter's graduation. Guess who the keynote speaker was? Joe Biden. Accused of plagiarism at the law school.
But you see what I mean? Certain guys just fall at it, you know? And any of those things would sink somebody else.
Perfect example.
Yeah, but I thought that was creepy. I mean, that really was creepy. In addition to being rude.
Yeah.
I mean, he just nominated the guy who gave his speech. And he's watching his, I don't know what he said, but I mean, he wouldn't have the respect to listen to his speech, to accept.
But
I mean,
who does it to some guy's wife? You know,
it's just creepy. But you know, he's so disarming in the way he's disarming the way he talks to people. He's very home Joe. But I thought that thing was really, really strange.
He's so smooth he gets away with it?
Yeah. He moves on to the next gaffe, which will be next week. And you forget this one.
I think that the question is, are people really offended? If they just chalk it up to that's Joe being Joe, are they really offended?
They kind of
get used to it. But if Dick Cheney did the same thing, we'd be doing this round the clock.
Because as much as Rudy Giuliani talks about not knowing what's in people's hearts and their motive, everybody reads into what people's motives are.
I guess
What was their real intent? And you take a barometer on that, and you judge, was this guy really being creepy? Or was he just being Joe?
So if I rub your shoulders, will I get a pass?
No. I think Dominic's point is well taken. I think a lot of this is sort of paying dividends for being likable. I mean, think about it. There were a lot of baseball fans at the table. The sports writers who vote for the Hall of Fame, you're more likely to go to the Hall of Fame if you're likable and you play well with the sports writers who are working for you. So, you know, Biden's a likable guy. Andy Pettit is a likable guy.
And we all gave him the benefit of the
Clemens is
doubt.
not.
Right, yeah.
And also, you know, Clemens has a much bigger spotlight on him, and that doesn't really work in the Clinton example. So I'm just going to stop right there. But I think that has a lot to do with it. It's how the public perceives you going into these messes.
It was just amazing though, watching. It kept going, Biden did. It just never ended, and you're grimacing looking at the thing. And then we were saying, if it was somebody else, would they have gotten that pass? And the answer is no.
But I mean, the whole thing, holding the shoulders, and whispering in her ear and smiling. I mean, and she had an expression which was, I don't know, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
But there are people who watch the State of the Union with Obama just to see Biden's reaction to things because you never know when he's going to collapse.
And I'll tell you, I know
He's
people
such
who
a wild card.
work for him. This was in the first in the first term, and he had a few of the Biden incidents in the first term, and they said, and I said, well, what do you guys say? They said, when we try and tell him, he said, you guys don't understand my appeal. People know that I'm a regular guy, Joe, and I'm like, he's the vice president of the United States. He's not a regular guy.
Oh, but he is in the public persona. He is authentic. That's what everything you read, every poll, he's just authentic, and because of that, he has integrity.
Well, you got to be right, obviously, because
The scariest thought, though, is him as president. That is scary.
I still think it's Sarah Palin, so it could be worse. All right, take a look at our still life photo of the day. And yes, a little spring training here. And yes, you Met fans can dream here. No, Syndergaard and Steven Matz, two promising young arms for what could be a promising
Forget about
young
the teams.
season.
Just look at the green grass and
Yes.
the blue skies.
I wish. Coming up next, we asked you yesterday to participate in our online conversation on American exceptionalism, and you took to Twitter and Facebook and sounded off. We're going to air some of your comments when we return.